Welcome everyone. Today we're going to actually get started inside the first class, which is PE100, and this is typically where you'll come in when you first open up the Academy. Clearly you need to log in, so we'll press the login. By this time you have probably logged in before, so it's going to remember your credentials, but if it doesn't, just click this box and that way it'll remember you every time. So in my case, I'm already been remembered, so I'm going to go ahead and log in. And here we go. We're now into our Academy. And we can see that our first course, which is PE100, is displayed right here in our project engineering classrooms. The elements of communication, we go through a module 0, which is where we're introducing you guys to the class. And you've probably already been through that in the previous video that you either got through an email or somebody gave you to get oriented. And in that one, we went ahead and showed you how to get logged in, how the self-paced approach works, and then what this class is going to be about, the 6 different modules that are part of the elements of communication. So we've already gone through that part, so we can go back up. We'll go back to project engineering. And now we're ready to go ahead and start our first module, which is going to be an accelerated course to give you some guidance on nonverbal communication. And I think you'll be very surprised at how much of your work really is related to nonverbal discussion. But with that said, we're going to first start. You have 3 different parts of this class. You have the discussion board, the individual assignment, and then when you're done and you feel completed with the course, here's a test for you to take. And then that will give you the accreditation to move on to Module 2, 3, 4. And when you complete Module 6, you'll get an actual certification that says you have passed PE100 Elements of Communication. So let's first start off with our first assignment, and that's the discussion board. Okay, and in there you can see here we have this PE Mod 1 getting started with the discussion board, which is this video that we are talking right now. So when you logged in, you most likely went down here and got started with this discussion board. So we're going to go ahead, if you ever need to watch this video again, just click here and that's where it'll be. So we're going to move on to the classroom materials. And we can see that there are 3 basic parts to this. We start off with some basic facts just to kind of give you some idea on what nonverbal communication is. And we can see here how much of communication is really nonverbal. You're going to see that in some cases they quote up to 93% statistic of your nonverbal versus your verbal, which means you're doing more with your body and your gestures and the way you speak, or in the way you present the speech, rather than the words themselves. So we kind of wanted to throw this out to you so you could get a general idea that this isn't a small subject. This is a very important subject, and we want you to kind of get aware of it, hear it from somebody besides us, talk to some of these doctors and all the people that are doing their research. We've also given you a hyperlink to go ahead and click on if you want to do some further study. And I can assure you there is so much materials out there on nonverbal communication. We could study this for 6 weeks and we'd never be done. But we are going to accelerate it and condense it to get as much as we can within 1 week. The next one is an understanding of body position. And this is really kind of just giving you a general orientation of things you need to start looking at, being aware of. Does the person have an open posture, or has his arms wrapped around him and he's all closed? We have mirroring. And then we get into really the best part of this piece of research here is Proxemics. And it introduces you to the fact that we have certain distances that we feel comfortable in, whether we're close to the person or far away. And they really relate to if it's an intimate distance, personal distance, a social distance, and a public distance. Now we're going to get a little bit more involved in that as we get along. So we wanted to get you aware of what these mean and the concept of proxemics in this part of the discussion board. Now we go back to the final part of the discussion board, which is beginning your experience with nonverbal communication. And what we've done here is just basically given you a roadmap on how you can start looking at this thing in a different way, become more aware of it and more attuned to how much that could help you and influence people in their decisions. Because let's face it, as we get higher positions in our career, we're going to be negotiating more and more things, and we're going to have to deal with change orders, RFIs, requests for besides that, all your different dealings with your vendors. You're going to have to buy out materials. You're going to have to negotiate with those guys. So every bit of that is included here. Now, in this first piece, we really are only interested in body movements and posture, because in the individual assignment, we'll see that we'll get into much more detail on these issues right here. So what we've done is actually created a little assignment for you that's real easy to do. And it's basically looking at your gestures. How many gestures do you see a day? And what is a gesture? Are you even aware that gestures are happening? So we're asking you guys to try and notice how many gestures you notice in a given day in all your meetings and discussions and everything, and make a daily scorecard for it. And you'll be surprised how much gestures are used in our everyday language. Illustrators are also used quite a bit. And we're asking you once again to try and notice how many illustrators you notice in your everyday life. And it's not only going to stop when you're at work, but you may want to limit your scorecard to just be strictly business. But you will find that you do a lot of this in your after work activities as well. Affect displays are also the same thing. They're facial expressions which show emotions. And we won't see as many of those, and sometimes they're unintentional. If you say something that just shocks them, you'll see their body flinch. And notice how many you see. And you may not see a lot of them, but you will see a couple here and there every day. And regulators are really a bad habit for people because and it's really trying to try and stay engaged in the conversation and control the conversation, but you're not using it as a form of speech. You're just using it as a form of retaining attention. So you want to really learn how well you use regulators and how well other people use regulators. And so we've asked you once again to just take a look at and see how many of these people use regulators as a way to achieve positive communications and results. And that's really all the discussion board is giving you an opportunity to get somewhat into the subject of nonverbal communication in this first set. Now, once you've done that, it would be nice if you felt like it, and this is strictly at your call, but once again, it really is nice to go ahead and create a thread right here. And we've gone back up to where we are with Nonverbal Communication Module 1, and just create a thread. And once you do that, you can type your notes in there and say, yeah, I noticed that I've seen a lot of this. And if you have any questions or comments or anything that comes to your mind, go ahead and put it in there, and then we will get back to you and either answer your questions or give you some help or find you some other information that may help you in pursuing this part of the understanding of nonverbal communication. So with that said, that's basically the discussion board. And once you're finished with the discussion board, we'll move into the individual assignment. And there is a specific video for that as well. So I wish you guys the best of luck with the discussion board, and we'll talk to you very soon.